Oh, wow. Sariling sikap. Uy, huy, Moriset! Moriset amo na. Ay, kita day ka na kay uyab. Ay mo uyab, uy, exit up sa imong kuan. Imong phone, ka na mag-vlog-vlog ka. Tago kasi di blamar dito. Panganak na day, uy. Kung ano na pagkat kamuro na kagminyo, tan-awang Moriset. Nung lawas mo, di na kay dagat tan-awang day. Nya, mabunog imong kwerta. Dapat magbuntis jud ka Moriset, magkaanak na jud ka kay para di mabunog ba ang bahay bata. Okay, ako na recommendation para na kay anak. Okay. Kasi magsige lang mag-steady duha. Okay. Nabarites jud ko no. Yes. Okay, sige lang kuan nga. Wa jud anak nya. Engage na good. Dapat magkaanak na di ba? Sa kumanoy na sikat na good mo. Tennis. Nya. Kuan makayo tambok na kay. Kuan kay ba mi ang kuan lawas. Fresh. Bagay. Things like that. Okay? You get the point. So dapat magbinyo na jud, magkapamilya, magkaanak. Okay? Ganon. Mahadlok mo si Moriset kay kung minyo siya, inon sad nga, way trabaho si Dave Lamar. Si Dave Lamar yung duhi. Kung may trabaho si Dave Lamar, para naman po na, kanta-kanta naman, di man siya sikat. Sikat man si Moriset. Pag kung kuan, million ang kita. Alangan man kung kuan siya, inon din sa mga, kuan nga, gibuhi rilagyan niya si Dave Lamar. Okay? Muna di siya magminyo dayon. Okay? No, si Angeline Quinto, nanganak na baya day. Nauna juga ni Angeline Quinto, na may anak si Angeline Quinto. Kung ano yung pagbuntis ni Moriset, uy, di ba? Ginabiya ka daga day. Grabe ko, kung sa, ginakadaga. Okay, nagbuot siguro sa kinabuhi ni Moriset ito. Uy, susuti ako ni ako. Fairness. Isa lang di matabi. Okay? Get the point. So, mubalik ka sa ating discussion. Naabot yung ko ni Moriset doon. Okay? Okay. Ganon. Unang anak na pag-ganiti ko katong champion sa tawag ng tanghalan si Elaine Duran. Una naman ka ni Elaine Duran, na anak. Hindi mo ganisikat ka sa Elaine Duran, gagawin pa kayo nagkita. Inapuran mo, ako na kayo kita ang mga milyon-milyon. Kapag kay anak, may matiguang na ka din, maglisod kag anak. May Moriset, uy, pagbuntis na Jude. Grabe sa lang na suggestion, no? Oh. Si Jonah, kasi ganyan na si Jonah Lindbergh, o manay uyab. Okay? Ikaw, kaya naman kayo steady. Yang naman mo sa ka bubong. Diba? Siya, di ka mabuntis. Okay. Grabe ko yung backstory. Prangka. Okay, get the point. So, we start now our discussion with Manungkat yung kaneng Moriset ko yun. Okay, Moriset, talawa akong video ha. Namo siya na akong recommendation ni mo nga. Dapat mga anak na yung kaday. Dako na kayo mong batang. Kanta ni mo gani. Kung na kayo ka, di na yung ka-fresh ka naon ba? Pag ninyo na gini mong figura, dapat mga anak na. Angeline, dito na naman yung anak sa Ilinduran. Hindi, mabulog naman ang purtaan na. Bahay bata. Sige lang kuwan-kuwan, wala din magka-anak. Muna yung disadvantage ka ng mag-steady nga way anak. Kaya mabunog ang inyong kuwan. Uterus, ovary, anak-anak. Mag-isod mo panganak. Labi lang, 40 ka. Di ba? So, advantage yun sa girl, ang mga anak sayo sa shop. Sa science. Okay, ma-explain siya sa science. Charot! Okay, nakakalug. Malingon siya yung Moriset. Okay. Nang mabalik ka sa itong discussion. Sa itong discussion, nakalimot ko na mga sa brain cells. Kung minus akong coffee, guys, yung ma-activate akong brain cells. Pero ang topic ka ng hazards man, type of hazards. Ipagaw dyan ko, tugod pa niya sa weather change. Char. Akong boys, magkukuk dyan kung bugnaw. Di ba? Ang sa mga kung ano natin basa guys, sa law of So, thermodynamics, expansion, and compression. So, unsa man ang compression under heat influence or under cold influence? So, compression is gonna be like that. Compression is, I think, cold, no? Expansion ang hot. Wait. For example, if you put water in the refrigerator, right, it will be compressed, right? It will become an ice. So you mean to say, cold compression, hot expansion. It will expand because the molecules will be scattering, right? The heat developed. So heat expansion, cold compression. That's thermodynamics and can be explained also in the theory of HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and also in refrigeration, right? Things like topic, refrigeration system topic. Nakakaloka. Di ba, ganun ba yun? So, nasa kong una-huna, kaya bugno kayo na napatayin ko sa kong AC. Char. Di ba, kayo ka ng brala ka ng something pa brad. Char. Okay, thank you so much. Kaya pagtanaw ng Juvie, usugod na tao, dagan ang oras, balali ka, dagan ang oras do. Diba? So, we will talk about the type of hazards. Okay. Type of hazards. So, when I mean hazards here, that could be hazards that we found directly. So this is identified hazard. Okay. Hazards. Plurality, right? Hazards. And then we can also say recognized hazards. Okay. So, like this. So if we see by our eyes, and then we see it directly, okay, those are identified hazards and recognized hazards. Okay, now if you speak another adjective prior to hazards, because this is standard, the book says, and all the manuals like that, or any sources in www, World Wide Web, they will not put adjective here prior to hazards. That's why I explained. Okay, that there are different types of hazards, a categorization of hazards, not the types, that explain what is really hazard. Okay, for example, we have also the potential. Okay, potential, and then we have also unforeseen. Okay, unforeseen. So, unforeseen. Meaning unforeseen, you did not see that, but there's a chance to occur. Okay, you did not see that by your eyes, but if you try to use your knowledge and imagination, how imaginative you are, then, this is possible to be happening. So this is unforeseen. Okay, so this is very important in climate prediction or weather prediction. To say they will try to forecast, okay, the climate like that. If it is really what happens tomorrow, will it be very hot, very temperature, pressure like that? Okay, then they can foresee also that there's typhoon like that. You get the point? So, but not yet happening, but you can sense or you can predict or you can foresee that the verb is foresee. Okay, like that. To the point. So potential hazards and unforeseen hazards will be the same. Okay. And identified and recognized hazards will be the same. So when you attach that in this sentence, you need to put that prior to hazards, this description. Okay? Because there are identified, there are recognized, potential, and foreseen. The identified and recognized, these are the hazards that you need to intervene and correct on the spot without the presence of safety officer around you. Okay, this is the job of the workers itself, since by nature and by default, the workers by general understanding, they don't have education that much, or knowledge that much. That's why we say it's the responsibility for the foreman and engineer to really capture the identified hazards and recognized hazards in the work area. But supposedly, it is the job or the first responsibility of the worker itself, the one who performed the work, to really correct and eliminate the hazards that they found in the workplace immediately without question. Okay, since there is an exemption because like this, they don't have education, like this, and this really is being abused. It's not always the time like that because you have the eyes, you have your brain cells. All people have this, have common sense. Do not rely always with the foreman also on the supervisor to do that for you. You are the one who do the work. Okay? So help to reduce the hazards that you found in your eyes. And then later on, if you cannot correct, if you cannot eliminate it totally, then you have to report to your foreman and the supervisor because that is their job also to supervise you in that particular area so that you will be safe. We cannot remove the hazards completely, but at least we can reduce on the spot immediately. Things like that. Meaning intervention. I mean, we have to stop it. Things like that. So that the exposure will not be wide, or meaning the exposures will not be big. The exposures will not be high because you corrected that already while it's in initial stage. Okay, initial stage. Because later on, if you will not correct that one, it will grow. Just like bacteria, okay, or the virus, it will multiply a million or a billion times in the mutation process. Things like that. The hazards also are like that. You get the point? Okay. So now, if we speak about potential and unforeseen hazards, I am using the adjectives potential and unforeseen. It may sound the same talaga siya. Because potential meaning kasi a chance of, okay, the probability of to happen. Okay, meaning to say, not, you don't see in your eyes, but you have the feeling by knowledge, by senses later on that it will come. The same with unforeseen, right? So, this all of hazards you will try to enumerate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And later on, you need to categorize that based on the type of hazards now here. Okay. Now, I will introduce to you what are the type of hazards. So there are at least 7 to 8 type of hazards. Some again, because some sources in the www or in the training centers, samples are having 7 only, some also are having 8 only. It depends on the situations. But during the, let's say if you are taking your Bush IGC certification or Bush examination, you have to be clever that if the question will ask only 6, you have to put 6 like that. But sometimes if don't have requirement how many, they put all. Just like saying, list all the type of hazards and give examples. Okay, so it will be favorable on your part to list all the 8 types at maximum level, not the 7, because not consistent. Some are 7, some 8. It depends on the training centers, it depends on the books, like that, whatever. So, ganun siya. You get the point? Things like that. So, the first type will be the, okay, safety hazards. Okay, so Sotero safety hazards, really, it looks like very general. Again, subjective. Because these safety hazards also, other sources, they will put that as a work site hazard. Kasi I'm telling you, not literal, not word for word. Okay? This is the way how we understand things, right? Not literal, not word for word. So that you can modify, you can analyze later on, if the situation will be changed, then you can easily understand. Okay? Things like that. So, work site hazard. It looks like very general. I will explain later. Work site hazard. Or instead of using work site, they will use workplace because it's just the same. Okay? OSHA will always use workplace most of the times. Okay, but for the other sources of safety, training centers or whatever, they will use also work site, but it's just the same. And other also will use work environment. It's just the same. Okay, you get the point. But you will attach the work because so many environment. There's also office environment. Okay, so that is like that, and the playground environment. So you will attach the word work. So it's not good to use all the time because there are two words. So, but I'm telling others are doing this. Okay, but the most popular is workplace and safety. So it's gonna be like that. Okay. So that when you, if you are really fun, that's why I don't Google. Because if you Google a lot, there's a lot of terminologies and sometimes you will be missed up what to use. Things like that. So I will rely on my acquired knowledge and stock knowledge in my previous trainings. Things like that. Or being a professional. Things like that. I don't rely 100% on the Google search. Sorry. Okay? Things like that. Even though for the basic conversions, I go first with my brain cells rather than in the Google search. Okay, then later if I cannot make it, I will confirm to the Google search. Because this is the way how our children to be brilliant. As much as we could, we will use our natural intelligence first. This is really serious. Natural intelligence first prior to resources. Because if we do that every time, we don't have our natural intelligence already. We will be dependent most of the times by the computer technology, by the modules, by the. So that's why, I'm not discriminating. That's why I'm not really that convinced. There are a lot of cum laudes, summa cum laudes in this present era. Because, if you try to compare that with the 80s and the 90s students, we don't have that adequacy of resources. More in the 80s or 70s, 80s, 90s, let's say engineers are relying with their own natural intelligence without the sources. So the only way to calibrate that is to teach our children not to rely first in the computer. Natural intelligence first. And then not make it, confirm, okay? Confirm and research if your answers are correct using your natural intelligence first. Because measuring the IQ is natural intelligence, not on the additional computer, laptop, gadgets. No, it's not. I'm not convinced with their intelligence in my own opinion. Sorry. Okay, I will be more. I can really salute and appreciate if the intelligence are natural. Sorry. Okay, things like that. Maybe I'm very high standard, but in the real sense of the world, really, okay, I'm not convinced. Too much cum laude, 10 people, 5 people, but in our time, only 1, only 2. So what's the difference? Because they have so many resources that they can access in the net, in the technology, things like that. But before, nothing. Okay, things like that. In fact, the people of 70s and 80s doesn't know how to do the the computer. They are not good in computer. You get the point? I'm not saying that computer is not is not helpful. It's very helpful and useful, but I'm trying to say only our natural intelligence must work first rather than the additional intelligence coming from different resources. Because dependent na lang kayo ta-permi sa www.com like that, and then the chance is it cannot sharpen our brain intellectual capacity. Wow, brain intellectual capacity. Okay, it's gonna be like that. Okay, so these things I discussed to you, this is already done before. I'm just repeating because it's accumulating in my thalamus part of my brain cells already. I don't have to go to discuss my vlogs. Okay? Because this is OSH, this is my okay? The same with chemical engineering regarding chemistry. But if there are times that I forgot, of course I will review, that's common sense. But most of it, guys, really stacking in my brain cells. Okay? Acquired knowledge. Because I rely on basic concepts, I don't rely on complexity. Okay? Because I remember taking the board examination, the one you pass is the basic concepts and the foundations. Is not how good you are in complex principles and problem solving. It's the basic concept and foundation that made you pass. Things like that. Okay? That's me, based on my actual experience. Subjective again. It depends on the individual. But that is my personal. Okay? Based on my personal talaga siya. Without it, I will never pass. Okay, so that's why it's very good to start at an early age, at elementary level. For example, your sons and daughters are very good in science and chemistry and physics. So there's an inclination that you'll be able to take up a course related to science. You don't have to object what they like according from their heart, because they are the one who will study. Give them the freedom to get what courses they wanted to in their life, things like that, because they will excel in that, rather than for children to take that course in which they don't like and they don't excel the most. They will find difficulty in the future. Seriously. Because they don't have the heart and passion, because they don't love that course in the first place. Just because the parents want them to do in the future. That's totally wrong. Okay? Do not decide for your children what course you will take. But if you suggest and they also love, then bingo, no question about that. Because there are times also when you suggest courses for them, they will agree, right? Because they like also, but there are times also they don't like. So that's the time you don't force them. Okay, because I have so many colleagues like that in Qatar. I can remember them. Okay, they said he became a registered nurse, but he don't like. Okay, he's working as a safety officer under my leadership, things like that. Okay, but he is really eager and thirsty to learn about engineering. Because sometimes when we are in the office, he will ask me about this, about that, about academics regarding sciences or whatever, math. But because these type of subjects are not talked about, are not discussed very well also in nursing. Because nursing are more on medical sciences like that. And then you can see on his face that he wanted to learn engineering, tactics, things like that. Because he don't like became a nurse because of his aunt, the sister of his mother, things like that. Because this sister of his mother is the one who will pay his tuition fee to become a nurse, things like that. You get the point. And after that, plan to work in New Zealand, in America. The target is like that, but it doesn't accomplish. Okay, it was not accomplished 100%. Like that. Point, ganon. Okay, sorry guys, ito ang sabi. Akit ko, no? Okay, sige. Okay, padayon sa ating debate. Okay. So you can say safety hazards, workplace hazards, worksite hazards, like this. And when I need to teach you what are the parameters to check in this safety hazards, so that you will not be in trouble to connect that in another type of hazards. So that during inspection, you have the specificities in your mind what to check, right? Dili maglatagaw atong utok no. Daghan natin sa tumununan niya what ay klarong categorization of our type of hazards. Okay, things like that. Okay. Number 2, we have the physical hazards. Okay, like that. This is, take note, this is in no particular order. Okay, this is not arranged chronologically. Okay, this is in no particular order. Okay, physical hazards. Okay. So during enumeration or outlining or listing examination, you will just list this in no arrangement, huh? Like that. Okay. So number 3, chemical hazards. Okay. Now I will teach something about chemical hazards. Okay. Chemical hazards are very, very close to health hazards. Sometimes other references based on experience, they will mix the health hazards to chemical hazard. Okay, it's acceptable. Okay, but others also putting slash. slash health hazards. Okay. Others also separating that one. Sometimes that's why I told you it's subjective. Okay. It depends on the situation, but we are lucky if the question will say enumerate, list, outline the different type of hazards because we can maximize our answers. But if the question will say enumerate and list 5 type of hazards, sometimes you will be confused. What are the type of hazards I will put? There are 9. Right? So you get the point. So that's the only issue there. Of course, you will go normally to the most popular and widely used hazards mentioned in the training centers or whatever. It's up to you now. What the type hazard you will be answering there. You see? But for me, I will go to the most relevant. Okay? If the questions goes like that. Okay? So, number 4, I need to separate. Okay? Health hazards. Okay? So there's a very close linkage between chemical hazards and health hazards. Okay? Number 5, we have the biological hazards. Oh, biology, right? Biological, I love it. Biological hazards. Take note, number 5 can kill a person. So many people die because of this biological hazards. Example, virus. You will never take for granted a biological hazard because it can kill a person. More than these other hazards there mentioned above. See? That is not mentioned every time in the risk assessment, blah, 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 but that is very, very dangerous. This type of hazard, biological hazards. Okay? It's talking about bacteria, virus, blah, blah, blah. And it can kill a person, make you sick. Okay. Number 6, electrical hazards. Okay. Like that. Electrical hazards. Number 7, psychological hazards. Be careful. Psychological hazards also can kill a person immediately. Why? Especially if you are depressed and your mental health was already destroyed, you have so many problems, it will commit you suicide or kill yourself because you cannot solve your problem already. Relationship, financial, so many problems in life that you cannot control, and the only way to solve it is to kill yourself. So that is psychological hazards. So biological and psychological are very deadly. But take note, it was not mentioned all the time in the risk assessment. Okay. Number 8, environmental hazards. Now, environmental hazards are very, very important because this is massive. Once it strikes massive, so many people will die. Not only 1, not only 2, not only 3. For example, epidemic disease in that particular region, like a cholera. So many people will suffer cholera like that. Sudden, diarrhea in the stomach, that is cholera, right? Or, I don't know exactly because I'm not a medical professional, let's say like that, okay? Or tuberculosis. These are what we mean of contagious diseases or highly transferable diseases or transmirable diseases. It will be contacted to others. So these hazards are very important because this is massive in our environment. Okay? Environmental hazards. Okay. See, I told you 8. Right? So, if the question will say in the examination, what are the type of hazards and give examples each, then you have to give examples and you have to explain. Sorry, you don't have to explain if it's only list. You will just explain if the question will say outline the different type of hazards. Okay, if the question will say outline, you need to enumerate, list. At the same time, you have to give example. At the same time, you have to explain each. And then if the question will say list only, list of the types, you have to give the enumeration 1, 2, 3, 4 like that, and you give examples. You don't have to explain. Okay. Now, if the term in the examination was enumerate only, you will only enumerate, and it's not necessary to give example. You get the difference? Okay. So it's gonna be list, enumerate, and outline. So these are the action verbs of the particular question that's going to be asked in the NIBUSH International General Certification Exam. I don't think so in the Bosch because it's not like this. Okay, that's the technique, how to answer. You get the point, things like that. Now, I need to give example now. Okay. Okay. Please listen as I go over the examples so that you will not be confused because they are very closely related to each other also. Okay? Like that. Okay, mga palangga, kahitan. So, this is the thing you will be able to master if you're trying to work being a safety professional. Safety officer, safety supervisor, safety advisor, safety engineer, safety manager, safety consultant, deputy safety manager, things like that, safety trainer. The more, safety trainer is for education, the more you are brilliant in this type of discussion because you are a trainer. Okay? Like this. I learned this things also because when I passed the international examination, my work in Abu Dhabi also is in the training center. That's why I master. Not really that master, I really practice in this way because, you know, that's also my experience there in the United Arab Emirates, in ADNOC, Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, and we are the main contractor. Like, and we have a lot of subcontractors, and part of my job is training. We prepare the training matrix, training plan, training program, like that. Actually, we are three, like that. Since the manager will pick up me in another multitasking, that's why the schedule of training are to be taught by the other two. Things like that, because the manager will always ask me like this, and they know me also like that. Okay? And they are all Koreans, Korean safety manager and Korean, and they like me, that's why. Okay? And then, though I love to teach sometimes, but I will give to the other two. Like that. But the training program is already kalas, I already made the training matrix and everything. Okay? But there are times really that I will do the trainings because they cannot make also. Especially newly hired employees, so many, like that, and they cannot also control, there's a lot. So I will teach also other topics like that. Okay, so they want to give me every time regarding the, of course, I'm chemical engineer, they will always give me the, the handling of chemicals like that, hazardous substances, of course, okay, exposure to hazardous chemicals like that, okay. Okay, you can give me also another, but priority with unrelated to chemicals. Okay, things like that. Okay, every time I will do the vlog of OSH, I always remember in, United Arab Emirates my experience before. Okay, because like this, teaching, okay, or being a trainer, things like that. Okay, now we have to give examples in the type of safety hazard. Okay, so again, class, safety hazard is also called workplace hazard or worksite hazard. Okay, it's just the same. Okay, now what are these hazards all about? Example. Okay, example for this. This will mainly talk about the generalities. For example, the cleanliness in the work area. Cleanliness. Okay, housekeeping issues is fall in the safety hazards. Workplace hazard. Okay, the housekeeping issues, I will just put comma, housekeeping issues. Okay, the material management. Okay, material management. I'm going to say it talks about the storage, okay, the piling, and the stacking. Stacking and the popular one, arrangement. Okay, arrangement. And etc. etc. So this is material management, general term management. And there are a lot of specific things to do when you manage. This is storage, piling, stock, arrangement, segregation, identification, labeling, things like that. Okay? Identification, leveling, okay. Segregation and compartmentalizing is just the same. Okay, it's just you have to put separate the same types, the same product, like that. Products that have the same purpose, you will put that there. This is segregation. Okay, for example, all of acetylene gas cylinders will be there, oxygen will be there, and you will not mix. That is segregation. Then, since gas cylinders have already labeled, you don't have to label anymore. Okay, this is part of arrangement. Okay, stacking, piling, and storage. This is all about material management. But the most popular term always emphasizes in safety, storage. Okay. Now, there is the word stacking. Be careful also, stacking and stacking. There's also S-T-O-C-K-I-N-G. The sound will be the same. Stacking and stacking. So how can you differentiate that in using in the sentence in OSH? Okay. The stack is talking about the leveling. First level, second level. Like for example, there's a rack, R-A-C-K, storage rack. When you use the term stacking, the sentence will be applied in that. If you use stacking, you only put that to a certain stack room. You don't have to put that first level, second level, third level, fourth level. That is the difference between stacking and stacking. You get the point in using that in the sentence. You get the point. But generally, stacking, S-T-A-C-K-I-N-G, will fall also under stacking. Okay? Stacking, S-T-O-C-K, is more general. Pasok siya sa banga, one component ang stacking. But if we want to be specific in our safety observation addressing to your responsible party, then we have to make it clear. It always be the clarity matters the most. You get the point? So that if no clarity, how can they rectify that on the spot or promptly into the field if you don't have to state your sentence in a very emphasized manner? Get the point? So what's your definition is stacking and stacking. Okay, like that. So I don't put the STO because this is not normally used. Okay, I will go to the STACKIG. STACKIG, stacking and piling will just be the same. Piling. It talks also the leveling. Okay, first level, second level, third level. You have to put that top, down, like that. Heavy objects must be on the top. Lighter objects must be downside. Because the fragile, you know fragile? Fragile in English, it would be broken down if it will be falling. Okay, that is subject to broken. The glass, things like that, fragile. That's the term. Okay, for example, bulb. Okay, like this fragile, glass. Fragile. So these are fragile. Okay, F-R-I-G-I-L-E-G. Okay, because there's no term brokenable. There's no brokenable. Okay, so it would be better to use fragile directly, ha? Okay, fragile material, diba? Fragile object. Okay, like that. Diba social? Fragile. This will be used most of the times in the departure and arrival because it's not allowed in the IATA safety regulations. Okay. Okay, International Air Transport Association, IATA. Okay, this is the regulations of transporting luggages and materials in the air by using airplane. So there is also regulations in that. If there's a regulations in safety in the land, we have also regulations safety in the sea. That is the navigation safety and the aviation safety also in the airplane. The categorization of safety is very, very broad. Things like that. You get the point? Land, sea, and air. And each has its own safety program. You get the point? Here, I'm talking with the land. Okay. You get the point? Okay. Now, we have the housekeeping, material management, blah, 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 so and so. You can sometimes also stress out the lighting. Okay, the lighting. Or the illumination. Okay, illumination. And then you can also state out the fire safety. Fire safety is very broad, but there's a lot. Okay, you have to check the fire extinguishers, sprinklers, whatever. The manual call point station, the alarm system, the fire control panel, things like this. Okay, anything about fire safety. You get the point? So it's also included in the safety hazards. Okay. The housekeeping will be there in the flammability or flammable and combustible materials like that. It will be under in housekeeping, right? So this is all about safety hazards, worksite hazards, and workplace hazards. So it's included there also, guys, the work platform. Okay. The workplace, how safe is that? The access and egress. Okay, the access and egress. Okay, the tools, the condition of the tools, machines, and equipments. That's part of your safety hazards, workplace hazards, and worksite hazards. Okay, so don't be surprised that a little bit of these examples also will be connected somewhere along the way in the other hazards. It's not an issue. As long as you are very clever how to draw the line in your report, you got the point. So it doesn't mean also that you put that here as safety hazard and it's linked in another 10 hazards, it will become wrong. So it depends on how you put your sentence in utilization of your examples here. Okay? Meaning utilization of terms in a particular sentence. Things like that. Okay? The important is that it's very straightforward, understandable, and the main point must be there always. Main point. Okay. Number 2, mga talaga kong hitad, we have the physical hazards. What are the examples for this? Physical hazards, guys. Okay, in HSE, the usual professional will do this are the industrial hygienists. Okay? Occupational safety and health industrial hygienists will do this because they will have the device, monitoring device to do this. It's already understood that there are companies and industries are not very world class, not international, not multinational. For example, a company that delivers product, okay, supply within its locality only. Meaning to say, their product will not reach to other countries. You get the point. So these are the companies that are not world class. They are not multinational. They are not international. They are producing products within their territory only. That's why they are not mandated to hire an industrial hygienist. You get the point? Because industrial hygienist is really more on the world class, demand. And the one who will do that, the Saudi Kayan and the Saudi Aramco in terms of Middle East, things like that. Okay? Because I work also in the Saudi Kayan, we have one industrial hygienist. But if you try to work in another company that is not world class, although big but not world class, okay? Things like that. They don't have industrial hygienist. The safety engineer will do that, the safety officer will do that, the safety manager will do that. It's multitasking. Okay? You get the point? And we understand that already, but for the purpose of discussion, you should know that these physical hazards, there's a specific personnel who will do this because this is more on the monitoring by measuring device. Okay, what are the examples? Okay, so we have temperature, how hot, how cold the machineries and work vessels and equipments really are. Okay, because if it's very hot, they cannot touch, obviously, common sense. And if it's very cold, they cannot also survive. Things like that. Okay, the pressure. Okay, like that. The humidity. Okay. With mean of humidity, this is the relative humidity, meaning the percentage of moisture over the total air content. That is what we mean by relative humidity. And our measuring device will be the hygrometer for this. And we will use also the psychrometer. Okay, you get the point, because this is also one of the topics in our, chemical engineering. Okay, this is relative humidity. We have humidification subject, topic, things like that. So humidity. Okay, and then we have also the noise, the vibration. Okay, the volume. Okay, the flow rates. When I mean a flow rate, it could be mass flow rate, molar flow rate, and volumetric flow rate. There are three. And the units will try to push you what is that all about. But the general term is only flow rate. If the unit is cubic meter, you could say that it is volumetric flow rate. You will add an adjective to describe the flow rate. Things like this in your understanding. So, it matters a lot if you will see the unit, even though the sentence or the questions put flow rate already as a general statement, then you mean that that is a mass flow rate, volumetric flow rate, molar flow rate. This is the way how we understand things, especially in examinations. You get the point? Okay. Flow rate. But we will normally put flow rate already, especially in the motor pumps like that. Let's say centrifugal motor pump, things like that. So there's a capacity, or let's say the capacity rate, things like that. Okay, they will express that, let's say liters per hour. Obviously, that is volumetric flow rate because liters is volume. If they say kilogram per hour, and that is mass flow rate, obviously. And if it's say 2.13 moles per cubic hour, moles per hour, moles per day, and that is molar flow rate. So if we speak about flow rate, there's a lot, 3 types. Okay, so that is part of the physical hazards. And sometimes it will steal the lighting. I told you, in the safety hazard. So, we need to put a little bit higher. That is already illumination. Illumination is the term here. But actually, you can also use lighting. So, just to distinguish a little bit, okay? Because you use already the lighting in the safety hazards. And to make it a little bit different, use the word illumination. Okay, you get the point. That's part of physical hazards. Okay, now what else? I will teach you something why. Okay, so we have also the force. Okay, what else? Think of something that is an extensive property in chemistry. If it is an extensive property or extrinsic property in chemistry, that would normally fall under physical hazards. Right? For example, intrinsic property, extensive property. So you know that already that is will be studied in the material science engineering, right? I'm not taking material science engineering, but I keep on researching that also because it's related to chemical engineering. Okay? It doesn't mean that you are only chemical engineer, you don't also study other fields. Okay? You get the point. That is additional learning, right? Okay, things like that. So in material science engineering, okay, we have a lot of properties of materials. Extensive, intensive, extrinsic, intrinsic. So I don't have to discuss that because that is not our lab. I'm telling only that it's connected here. That most of the extensive properties and extrinsic properties are those physical hazards. Okay, get the point. Then humidity. Why is it? Because too much humidity, your people also will not be comfortable. They'll be kept sweating. And then it's disturbed their work. And back then they will lose their concentration. That's why it's a hazard. You get the point? And if we speak about temperature here, it will be normally attached with heat. Okay? Heat. So we need to say heat is a physical hazard. Sometimes also, other sources of safety, they will put that in the safety hazards. Because heat ignition sources are very common in the workplace. That's why worksite hazards. It's still okay, no problem in that. It depends on how you report. Okay? You get the point? Like that. So number 3, chemical hazard. Okay, ako napapasok guys. Pwede mo niyo ipasok sa inyong brain cells while I'm discussing. Right? Okay? Or i-chat down ninyo. To those entry-level safety officers all over the world, you can really jot down or take down notes upon discussion. Because I need to erase. Okay? Because my whiteboard is very small. I cannot discuss in an extensive manner because my whiteboard is very small in dimension. Take a look with the length times width. Diba? Surface area of my whiteboard. Length times width. And take a look with the perimeter. Perimeter. 2 times length plus 2 plus width. 2 times length plus 2 times width. Okay? That's perimeter of a square. Okay. Like that. See? Okay. Manata sa atong physical hazard. Ito na rin siyang papazon. Okay. Papazon talaga. Okay. Now we are now in the chemical. I love it! Chemical hazards. Okay. Guys, if you talk about chemicals, it's a whole story. One day will not be enough. So let's make it straightforward. Huh? Because there are topics here that if you try to be detailed, days are not enough in the discussion. In this time, I need to be direct. Okay? Because I'm telling entry-level safety officers, I'm telling the experienced safety professionals or the highly competent safety professionals, viewers right now. Right? Okay. Now, chemical habit mo palangga kong hita. Mo junipin niyo guys, di mo man yung trabaho. This is our main function. Okay? Because if we make also procedure, this will be attached every time in our documentation. You get the point? When we make the emergency response procedure, when we make the traffic management plan, okay? Things like that. Okay? When we make our ARP, emergency response, incident and accident procedure, things like this will be always included there. Okay? You get the point? So that's why, kanilang sa, with this only, so we will master before going to the complexity part. You get the point. Okay? Things like that. Okay, chemical hazard example. So, don't be surprised that I will be explaining a little bit different from the, other sources because, you know, this is not incriminating myself or not uplifting myself that I am a licensed chemical engineer. That's why I'm doing this. Because guys, the chemical hazards they introduce in training centers are not enough. They will only give 4. But actually, we are chemical engineers. There's more to that. Chemical, and I will add here, okay? But normally, there will only 4 to 5 examples. But in our part, as chemical engineers, there are more to that. And we should also learn. You get the point, things like that. Okay, number 1. So we go to the most popular that is always being mentioned in the training centers, or safety training centers, because this is really what we mean. But to have additional knowledge, you can also, because you will encounter this also in your workplace. You get the point? Okay, so maximize the learning potential. So, okay, chemical hazards. Ganon. So normally we'll start with the dusts. Okay? Dusts. When we mean of dust, there's a lot also. We also the different type of dust. We have the respirable dusts and the inhalable dusts. Ay, naku, ang hirap kumita ng pera. Okay, what's the difference between inhalable dust and respirable dust? So, to be more technical, you can refer the micron. Micron is the particle size unit to express